Welcome to Get Your Mind Right, the podcast where merchant services, digital marketing, and personal growth collide. Tune in for real talk, fresh insights, and the motivation to level up.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Get Your Mind Right. This is the world's only podcast devoted to digital marketing and merchant services professionals. I'm your host, John Johnson. Today, I'm going to talk about a word that you hear in sales used all the time, and it's called urgency. A lot of times you've heard this in the context of lack of urgency. Now, you'll hear this word, and there's often a finger pointed at you that is behind it. But seldom do you get explained to you really what this means, why it happened, and most importantly, what you can do about it. And that's what we're here today is to break this down. Now, because I'm telling you, I know for a fact, every rep on this call, including yours truly, knows what it feels like to have a deal stall out. That you follow up and your decision maker says, we're still thinking, or let's talk about this after the holidays, or let's talk about this after vacation. In that moment, your deal, it just doesn't die. It's really something worse than this. It just drifts. It's off into some undefined abyss without a rudder, without a sail. You really don't know where it's going on. Now, to be sure, this is not a pipeline problem. This is your urgency problem. First things first here. What urgency is not about is about pressure. It's about clarity. It's about helping your decision maker understand exactly what changes if they wait and what improves when they act right now. And when you find that urgency is missing, everything else in the deal starts to decay. Now, you can diagnose the symptoms when urgency is missing. Just like a doctor is checking vitals, you're going to hear things like this. Your heart rate's low. You've got no follow-up rhythm. Your blood pressure is flat. You don't have any energy in your call. You got severe fatigue. There's too many maybe laters in the pipeline. Now, fortunately for this, you don't need a prescription. You need urgency. Bring it back, and every conversation gets oxygen again. Now, your first symptom here is your decision maker becomes passive because when there's no urgency, that DM drifts into neutral. They stop asking questions. Start saying things like, well, you know what, we're going to revisit this next quarter. And once again, that is not a no, it's worse. It's an absence of motion. Without urgency, the deal slips from the priority list. They don't feel any consequence to waiting. I want to say that again. It slips down their priority list because they don't feel any consequence to waiting. When that happens, you end up chasing instead of leading, not where you want to be. Your second symptom is price all of a sudden becomes the only focus. Because when the timing isn't clear, price rushes in to fill that gap. Suddenly, your DM starts comparing you to 3 other vendors purely on cost. Now, that happens because there's no time pressure. There's no reason to act now. They treat your product like a commodity instead of a catalyst. And when urgency disappears, so does value. Now, your next symptom is you lose control of the calendar. And deals without urgency live on the DM's timeline, not yours. Here are some things you're going to hear. Let's connect after the holidays. Hey, we'll start to review the budgets in January. Maybe we can address this at the end of quarter 1 or the beginning of quarter 2. Now, when this happens and you lose control of that all-important clock, you lose control of the close. Pipeline health starts to look inflated. Lots of opportunities sit still, but you don't find anything moving. Now, the next symptom is the energy drops. You can feel it in the conversation. The energy goes flat. Instead of collaboration, it becomes explanation. You talk more, your DM engages less. And when this energy fades, guess what? So does emotion. And in our business, emotion is what drives decisions. Your next symptoms is follow-up fatigue. Oh my gosh. Everyone has had this, and this is a big one. When you don't have that urgency, reps get stuck in that endless follow-up loops. More calls, more emails equals less movement, and it is exhausting. It's because you're doing a lot of the right activity here, but your timing alignment is off, and therefore nothing has happened. Once again, I want to really stress this. Effort is important. And if you're doing this, it's not your effort here that's missing, it's urgency. Now, I want to reiterate this. Our job is not to pressure DMs. It's to protect them from the cost of waiting. Because let's talk about digital marketing here. And in the context of listings, every day their listings stay wrong. Every week that their ads sit paused. Every month that the reviews go stale. That means that they're losing visibility, they're losing trust, and they're losing revenue. Now, the rep who creates urgency does not chase deals. Those reps lead because urgency is the heartbeat of momentum. And without it, the deal flatlines. Well, let's address the elephant in the podcast here. If urgency is so important, why don't we use it more? Well, it's not because we don't necessarily know how, although that's it some of the times. A lot of times it's just because we're human. There are reasons reps resist it, and usually, in my experience, it comes down to fear. And the first fear is the fear of being pushy. We've all been there. You don't want to come across as pushy. You want to be a pro. Here's the truth. When urgency is rooted in helping, not hustling, it's never going to feel like pressure. Let me put this to you another way here. Pressure says, do this for me. Urgency says, do this for you. Now, this is not wordsmithing. This is not a subtle difference. You're not forcing a decision. You're guiding one. You're helping a decision maker avoid pain, delay, or loss. It's not being pushy. That is being a professional. Now, your next reason is that reps are only comfortable with neutral conversations. And some reps stay in what I call that nice mode, that the conversation's friendly, decision maker likes you, but nothing ever seems to happen. You leave the call feeling it went great, and then you realize you didn't move the ball any. Comfortable calls do not create decisions. They create stalls. Urgency requires a little tension. That's what separates being liked from being respected. That's what separates your decision maker winning to your own perception that you're a nice guy. Now, your next one, and I've heard this many, many, many times over my career, the fear of losing the deal. The fear that if you create urgency, you're going to scare off the DM. You think if I push for timing, they're going to ghost me. But this silence doesn't come from clarity. It comes from confusion. When there's no clear next step, the DM feels no urgency. And when there's no urgency, they go dark. Clarity actually builds confidence. Asking for timing doesn't kill deals. It keeps them alive. Now, the next reason is lack of confidence and value. And sometimes we avoid urgency because deep down, we're not fully confident in what we're selling. We're unsure of the product's impact, and urgency feels forced. But urgency isn't about what we want. It's about what they lose by waiting. Every day a DM's information is wrong, their reviews are stagnant, or their site is buried, they lose visibility, they lose trust, they lose credibility, and at the end of the day, they're going to lose customers. Once again, this is not protection or pressure. This is protection. This is growth. Now, your next reason is fatigue and disconnection. Some reps simply lose their own sense of urgency. After hearing maybe later all year, it's really easy to slow down. But remember, your client, your decision maker, they are going to mirror your energy. If your tone's flat, it feels safe waiting. If your tone carries urgency, they're going to feel the importance of acting. Your energy always sets the pace of the deal. Here's your mindset shift. Urgency is not aggression. It's clarity with compassion. It's not saying you have to do this. It's saying here's what changes if you wait, and here's what improves if you move. And what that is empathy in motion. If you believe in what you are selling, what you are proposing, then waiting is a huge risk. It is a loss that is represented to your DM. The only thing you should fear isn't being pushy, it's being passive. You don't lose deals by creating urgency, you lose deals by avoiding it. Do any of these things that I've just described here fit you? Well, that's why we're here today. We're going to learn exactly how to fix that. So first of all, let's start with redefining urgency. Most reps think urgency is a closing skill. I'm here to tell you it is not. It's a connecting skill. You build urgency the moment you connect timing to impact. If a decision maker believes your solution will help somebody, that's interest. If they believe waiting will cost them tomorrow, that is urgency. When the DMs feel the cost of waiting, they act faster. People are wired to avoid loss more than to chase gain. That's behavioral psychology 101, which is loss aversion. Urgency isn't about adding pressure. It's about bringing reality closer. It's your job to help them see the clock. Now, when you do this right, urgency, it's going to feel natural. It's going to sound like this. Every month this waits, your visibility slips behind your competitors. Or fixing this now protects your next 90 days of revenue. Now, notice my tone here. It's not forceful, it is factual. Real urgency connects the dots between timing and consequence. It sounds like, the next Google update is 30 days from now. Let's make sure your corrected information shows before that happens. This is not a sales deadline. This is a business reality. Once again, this isn't about me, it's about your client. And when you speak in facts and consequences instead of demands and pressures, DMs stop feeling sold and start feeling guided. Let's talk about the 3 tools that you could deploy today that is going to implement urgency for you. This is every conversation. And these 3 things are magic questions, trial closes, and urgency lines. These are the heartbeat of your sales rhythm. Now, when you use them together, you move the deal forward naturally without ever sounding aggressive. First of all, magic questions. What they are to do here, are designed to do, is to spark discovery. They make that decision maker say out loud what's broken. They're not about pitching, they're about prompting reflection. And when you ask the right question, you're going to find that decision maker is going to convince themselves. For example, on listings, Mr. Merchant, how confident are you that your business information is accurate everywhere that customers find you? Reviews. What's your process today for turning happy customers into public reviews? Website. If your site ranks below your competitors on local search, what impact do you think that has on calls or bookings? Now, what each one of these questions does is they open a gap. And urgency is what lives inside that gap. Once your DM recognizes the cost of inaction, your job becomes helping them create that action and taking movement on that. Magic questions, what they do simply is they open up the mind. Now, the next step is to test the intent. This is what we do with trial closes. What these are temperature checks. They help you see if the DM is mentally aligned before you go in for the full close. Now, these trial closes, they may sound soft to you, but they're actually strategic. Here's some examples. If we could clean up all 137 listings in one move, how would that help your business? Or if optimizing your site brought in 10 more qualified calls a month, would that be worth you spending some time on? How about if we show you how your competitors are already increasing review volume, would you want to see that? Trial closes are not ultimatums. They're confirmations. We've opened up the mind with the magic questions. Now with the trial closes, we're confirming what this is going to mean. When your decision maker says yes to a trial close, even hypothetically, they're telling you that mentally they're getting in the right place. And this is your signal to move to timing, which brings us to the third and most powerful tool, the one that turns intent into action, and that is urgency. And your urgency lines are where clarity meets consequence. I want to say that again. Urgency lines are where clarity meets consequence. They link your solution, what you're proposing, to time. But remember, urgency does not live in adjectives. It lives in specifics. I want to give you some examples. I hear this from good salespeople all the time, and it's way too vague. Hey, you need to take advantage of this soon. It's unspecific. There's a big gap here in the timeline. Here's what's powerful. Mr. Client, each week your ads set paused, competitors buy up your audience. The specificity here, it creates reality. I am telling exactly what the cost of waiting is to that merchant. And when people hear the reality of this, they tend to take movement on it. Let's break this down by products. Start with digital here. For reviews. You know what? Your clients average 6.8 new reviews per month. Waiting a quarter is going to put you another 20 reviews behind. On website and SEO, search updates roll out quarterly. Each one that passes, where you haven't updated this, actually widens the gap for sites that aren't optimized. Social media. Inactive social media pages lose reach each week to the algorithm that sees no engagement. And ads. Hey, we're here in the fourth quarter right now. Ad inventory prices are climbing in the fourth quarter. Locking now saves up to 30%. Let's talk about dual pricing. Mr. Merchant, your processing fees, as you told me, continue to go up. Each month that you continue to incur these fees represent bottom line money that you're never ever going to be able to regain. Now, each one of these items tells the DM one thing very clearly, that time and waiting is not free. They exact a cost. And in all of these, they are going to extract a cost out of that merchant that they're never going to recover. And that's the real definition of urgency, connecting cost to delay. Now, let's talk about putting all these three things together and showing you how it works in motion. And I'm going to open by asking a magic question. Mr. Merchant, how confident are you that your business information is accurate everywhere that potential customers want to find you? Then I'm going to follow up with the trial close. If we could correct all 137 of these listings instantly, would that create a better environment for your business and more customers? And last, I'm going to add the urgency. Hey, Google's next update is within the next 30 days. Fixing it now ensures that your corrected data is what they have. And that's it. You didn't push, you didn't force. It's not about me. It's all about my merchant and their business. I've simply built clarity into sequence, and that's awareness, alignment, and action. Get this in your head here. Magic questions open the mind. Trial closes test the direction to that open mind. And finally, urgency lines take that open mind, taking the trial close, where we've taken the temperature, that yes, it is important, and we've now taken the urgency lines to create movement right now. When you combine these three, stop being a salesperson and you start becoming a guide. Because urgency done right, well, it doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like progress. And progress is what every business owner actually wants. So here's your action step. Next time you feel a deal slowing down, don't chase it. Step back, find the gap, and use these three tools to bring motion back into the conversation. We know how urgency actually works, through magic questions, through trial closes, and urgency lines. Let's make this thing real. We're going to take these same tools and apply them directly to core products that you sell every day. If you can clearly connect your product to what the decision maker loses by waiting, you're never going to sound pushy. You are going to sound essential. So we've mentioned a few of these. Let's do a little deeper dive. Let's start with reviews. So when we're talking about reviews, we're actually talking about the heartbeat of reputation. Now, if listings make you visible, reviews make you credible. DMs know reviews matter, but they underestimate the cost of falling behind. Every month they delay, their trust signal fades in Google's algorithm. They slide down the chart of relevance and they get fewer calls. Our magic question: what's your process today for turning happy customers into public reviews? My trial close. If we can help you generate 5 to 10 more verified reviews automatically every month, would that make your business better? And finally, the urgency. Competitors in your space, they're averaging 10 new reviews a month. Waiting even one quarter is going to put you 30 reviews behind, and that's going to directly affect your visibility. Hey guys, this is an easy one. Reviews are only math, and it's just addition. Google rewards momentum. Even waiting 60 days drops your prospect's relevance. You get an advantage here because urgency isn't emotional, it's just statistical. Let's pivot to website and SEO because the website is your merchant's digital front door, and search engine optimization is the street light that makes it visible. Now, when your decision maker delays fixing their site or optimizing content, they just don't lose traffic. They lose ranking positions that can take months to recover. My magic question here is, when was the last time you checked how your site performs on mobile search? My trial close. If we could show you how your site compares to your top 3 competitors on Google, would you want to see that? And then I'm going to end with urgency. These search updates happen quarterly. Each one widens the gap for sites that aren't optimized. Waiting till next quarter means you're just going to be facing a further uphill battle. Now, when we talk about SEO urgency, always talk about time and recovery because Google does not reward patience. It does not reward sitting around and waiting for things to happen. As a matter of fact, it punishes you for that, and it only rewards you for performance. Every update that your merchant loses actually compounds their loss. Now, social media, this is the pulse of engagement, and it's all about presence. It's where customers go to validate credibility before they buy. And the urgency here isn't technical, it's behavioral. And algorithms punish inactivity. Every week without engagement is a week of lost visibility. My magic question is, Mr. Merchant, if someone checked your social page today, would they see a brand that's active or one that's quiet? My trial close. If we can manage consistent posts and engagement every week, would that make your business better and create more opportunity? And then finally, my urgency. Inactive social media pages lose reach every single week that algorithm sees no content. Waiting until January or February or March could mean actually rebuilding that visibility from zero. Now, when you're selling social media, to be sure, you're not selling posts, you're selling presence. And presence has an expiration date. That is urgency. Another product, ads. Now, this one is pure timing. Ad inventory, depending on the sector and the vertical, can get more expensive the closer you get to the time that product or company is in season. Demand spikes, competition climbs, and prices tend to follow. So my magic question is going to be, what happens to your leads when your ad visibility drops during peak season? My trial close is, if we could prove every ad dollar turns into measurable calls or visit, would that make this decision easier? And I'm going to end up with urgency. Ad inventory rises heading into your busy season. From what I've seen, up to 35%. Locking your campaign now locks in savings and protects your reach before your competitors crowd the space. Hey folks, ads are like airline tickets. The later you book, the more you're going to pay. That's why waiting isn't neutral. It's expensive. So let's bring this all together. Urgency by impact, because every product we sell connects to one of 3 things: visibility, trust, and bottom line income. And the cost of waiting always touches one of these 3. If a decision maker waits to fix listings, they lose visibility. If they delay reviews, they lose trust. If they ignore SEO, social, ads, they lose revenue. If they ignore their cost of collecting delayed payments or of optimizing the processing fees, they're going to lose bottom line revenue, which they can never recoup. Your job is to make this visible to them, to show them what that cost is by not taking action. This is what real urgency looks and sounds like. It's not emotion here. It is absolutely positively irrefutable evidence. So let's boil this down into a formula. How do we build the urgency every time? Well, I've got a simple 3-step formula for building that urgency. And that first thing is to identify the gap, to show them what's broken or what's lagging here. And I'm going to quantify the cost of waiting. What happens in 30, 60, 90, 120 days, a year, 2 years, if they do nothing? And lastly, I'm going to tie it to an outcome. Whether it's visibility, trust, revenue, bottom line income, all of these things should be tied to an outcome. This is your urgency framework. Once you see that pattern, you can build urgency into any conversation. So here's the challenge for the team today. I want you to do this in the next week. This is easy. This will take you less than 10 minutes to do this. I want you to pick 3 deals that are sitting in your follow-up list right now. And I want you to look at each one of these deals, and I want you to ask yourself, what is the cost of them waiting one more week? Then I want you to call them. I want you to use one magic question, one trial close, and one urgency line. And you'll see how quickly conversation changes when timing becomes tangible. Now, we're on the home stretch here. The last part of today's huddle, we're going to wrap all this together. How to keep urgency alive through the end of Q4, how to avoid losing urgency, and how to make sure every deal in your pipeline ends this year with a decision. Now, what you find too is urgency shifts during all sorts of times in the year, right? Typically, a lot of weaker sales reps have trouble in the summer. Okay, they can't get a hold of people. Kids are out of school. People are going on vacations. Okay, therefore they lose the urgency. They lose it around the holidays, whether it's Labor Day or Memorial Day. People take off around that. That's a bad time to call them. Thanksgiving's bad. Don't even talk to me about Christmas and that time in between. What you're going to find very, very quickly is all of these things are either going to turn into insurmountable walls, or you can turn them into windows that are opportunity and allow you to create urgency and to create that movement. It all depends on your energy and how you frame them. Let's start with an easy one here. You hear this at the end of the year all the time. Beginning in October, call me after the holidays. And those reps, what do? Oh, they're a nice guy. They don't want to appear pushy, and they back off. But you know what? The top professionals, they hear opportunity. They know that most decision makers don't want to wait, don't need to wait, but they've not seen a reason to act now. That's where calendar-based, budget-based, and emotion-based urgency comes in. Calendar-based urgency is all about timing and implementation windows. Okay, let's talk about holidays, Thanksgiving. You know what, Mr. Merchant, to go live before Cyber Monday, we're going to need to start implementation next week. I'm not inventing pressure here. I'm aligning with a real world event. I don't have any control over when Cyber Monday is. That's a fixed date. This deadline is natural and logical. Everyone knows about it. I can't affect that date. Now, on the other side of the table here, your decision makers, they're constantly feeling the pull of that calendar, and you're showing them the path to be ready in time. Now, budget-based urgency works well, especially at year end. Decision makers often have remaining marketing or tech budgets they risk losing. You might say, hey, it looks like you might have some 2025 budget left. Do you want to use it right now, or would you rather lose it in January? Now, this one flips that psychology from spending to saving. You're protecting their investment rather than pushing for a sale. Now, lastly, emotion-based urgency ties directly to the pain of repeating past mistakes. You might say, hey, listen, let's not go through what we did last year when you gave away all of these fees on merchant services by eating those processing costs. Let's turn this into your advantage this year. These things are simple, they're human, and they're powerful. People act faster to avoid pain than to gain benefit. When you remind them of what they want to prevent, you're going to find that they move quicker. Urgency isn't always about saying act now, it's about showing why now. The best reps position themselves as partner in preparedness, not pressure. Now, before we completely take this home, I want to talk to you about the notion of urgency fading. Because you've heard this before. You've heard a decision maker tell you, call me after the holidays. And you get these follow-ups piling up. You've got distractions, deadlines, and burnouts creeping in. You've got the bad follow-up blues. But you know what? Here's your truth. Urgency does not disappear anytime the rest of the market slows down. It disappears because you slow down. Urgency is not what the decision maker feels. It's what you project. Because when you show up with that focus, when you show up with that timing, when you show up with that intent, they're going to feel it. When you showed up tired, defeated, casual, uncertain, they're going to feel that too. You set the tempo always. And every deal that sits still costs something, whether it's energy, credibility, or opportunity. And when you let that deal drift, you notice the word I use there. When you let that deal drift, you don't just lose that one sale. You lose the ripple effect that you could have created here. This might be the one DM that was been your fountainhead for golden referrals, a testimony, a long-term partner. Urgency lost becomes a pipeline gap your next month. This is why this is not a skill, it is a discipline. So, at the end of the day, how do the very top reps keep that urgency alive? They do three things very differently from the masses. First of all, they own their calendar. They don't let their week control them. They calendar block their emotion. They're going to set up, say, from 9 to 11 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, a call block. Okay? For this reason, they've got this in here. They've got that time scheduled, and it's sacred. They treat this the same as importance as they would an appointment. They get their minds right for that call block. They're going to power through those and get those new prospects either on the line, or they're going to develop them, or they're going to take them the next step. They're going to schedule follow-up blocks. They're going to schedule next day confirmation. What I'm telling you is that they have structure. This is where urgency thrives. And chaos, well, it just kills it. Now, second, these top professionals, they speak in consequences, not commands. They never say, you should do this. They say, you know what? Here's what stays the same if you wait, and here's what changes if you act. And this single shift turns pressure into professionalism. And third, they stay emotionally connected to their mission. They know what they're selling is protection, visibility, trust, revenue, protection, and bottom line performance for small businesses. And when you believe this deeply, you don't fear urgency, you embody it. Now, my strong advice to you today is to finish strong. Audit your pipeline. Look for any deal that's been sitting longer for a couple weeks. And then ask yourself, what's the cost of this decision maker waiting even one more week? And the last thing, and this is really, really, really important. If you don't hear anything else today, hear this. Call them. Call them. Don't email. Do not email. Don't email. Do not email. Don't email. Did you hear this part? Is my microphone working? Do not email them. Pick up the phone and call them. You could not get across the magic question. You could not get across trial closes, urgency lines through emailing. All this emotion, all this intensity you have is lost in email, okay? They want to hear your voice. They want to hear your energy in it. They want to understand the consequences of not acting and the benefits of acting now. Use that magic question. Use that trial close. Use that urgency line. And if you do that with just 3 DMs this week, you're going to see how fast and how magically your pipeline wakes up. The goal here is not pressure. It's progress. Every call moves someone closer to clarity. Now, every month you're in, I don't care when it is, it's the month that's going to test your discipline. There's always going to be reasons that people are pushing out. Now, especially during any sort of holiday, whether it's the 4th of July, Memorial Day, spring break, Thanksgiving, Christmas, this is where discipline gets tested. And what it's going to find, it's where all the loud talkers get quiet and the doers get louder. Because the reps who win during this time aren't the ones that caught a lucky break. They're the ones who showed up with urgency when everyone else is laid up. So when you're going into these periods of time, remember this. Urgency is not about pushing people to move. It's about showing them what they miss when they don't. Stay sharp, stay present, stay urgent, because the future isn't waiting for us. Let's go make it happen. Hey folks, this was really a fun topic for me. I think it's fresh. I think it's relevant. You know, I do these Get Your Mind Right podcasts, not just for you, but I do them for me. I need to remind myself of this all the time about being present and staying urgent. So if you appreciate this, please hit that subscribe button. Follow me. Leave me a comment down below. Always want to hear back from you. And I'll see you back here on Friday. Get Your Mind Right, Mailbag Edition.